Well, an explosive debate moment famously called the role of debate moderators into question. You remember this. Watch.
I think the destructive, vicious, negative nature of much of the news media makes it harder to govern this country, harder to attract decent people to run for public office, and I am appalled that you would begin a presidential debate on a topic like that.
Newt Gingrich given a lot of credit for this response to questions about his wife. So what does he think about the Clinton camp urging moderators to tell the truth about Trump?
Well, let's ask him. Joining us now to react is 2012 GOP presidential candidate and Fox News contributor Newt Gingrich. Mr. Speaker, nice to see you this morning. What about all this fact-checking? The term fact-checking has been thrown out there during this campaign that, you know what, facts have kind of gone out the window in this campaign. What do you expect from the moderators?
Well, first of all, if the Clinton campaign is that eager to have the moderators do the fact-checking, what does that tell you about their lack of confidence in Hillary Clinton? She ought to be the fact-checker. She's the candidate. She supposedly knows 10 times as much as Trump. She has done all these government services. She's been a senator. She's been a secretary of state. She's been a former presidential candidate. She's been a first lady. And she needs the moderator to do the fact-checking? That tells you how weak they think their own candidate is. Second, it's a stupid idea. First of all, the moderator should be modest. They're not running for president. They're not the equal of the two people who are running for president. They're simply a device by which the public gets to have a dialogue. They ought to ask questions that are designed to bring out information or personality or in some way help us learn more about the two candidates. And they ought to let the two candidates do the fact-checking. If Hillary thinks that Trump is saying something wrong, she should correct him. If Trump thinks that Hillary's saying something wrong, he should correct her. But it's pretty stupid to think that we're going to have this third candidate called a moderator, and their job is to double-team Donald Trump.
Well, why have moderators at all? I mean, they're all sanctimonious and long-winded and self-satisfying. I mean, they spend half the debate talking about themselves or asking these pointless questions. Why don't just let the candidates get up on stage? We'll learn a lot more about them. They'll reveal themselves by just debating each other. What's wrong with that?
Lincoln Douglas style.
Well, I mean, Lincoln and Douglas did that, although they had very long debates, 3 hours. And they had a timekeeper, and that was it. And they also spoke really long. I mean, the first guy, I think, got an hour, then the second guy got an hour, then they each got a half hour. It'd be pretty tricky to get audiences to watch that nowadays, although people do watch Trump rallies, and he's a little bit like watching one of those debates. I would say that we'd be better off to let the two go at each other, and I think it would be fascinating to watch and see what happened. You know, again, you have to assume you have people who've gotten all the way through the nominating process who are pretty smart. They're pretty professional. If they could actually be on a stage without anybody else, maybe a timekeeper. You know, the news media would never give up this opportunity to be important. And that's a key part of what these debates are all about.
That's a good point. And speaking of the Lincoln Town Hall debates, I remember, Speaker, when you debated my dad at one of those in Manchester. Remember in the 2012 campaign, you both decided to do like a 90-minute debate about real policy and issues. Not surprisingly, did not get a lot of media attention, to your point. But you are one of the unique people that has been on a debate stage. What advice are you giving Donald Trump for tomorrow night? What does he have to do so the next morning people are saying he had a good performance?
Relax.
Yeah.
I think essentially Donald Trump is so much faster than Hillary Clinton, and his personality is so much stronger that he just needs to relax. Don't let her get him off balance. Don't let Lester get him off balance. Be who he is. He is a guy now who's virtually tied with her for the presidency. He beat 16 other people. He got the record number of votes for a Republican in the primaries. I think if he's calm and he's relaxed, and my guess is he will be, that he'll be very formidable. And I think she actually is under a much greater burden than he is, because everybody deep down assumes she'll do really well. I mean, if you come out of all of her years of public life and you can't beat Donald Trump, it sort of undermines your argument that he's not presidential.
So how do you relax? I mean, this is going to be one of the most widely viewed things ever to happen in human history. What specifically would you tell him to unwind? Take a sauna, have a glass of wine? Like, how do you do that?
Yoga.
Well, I used to, when I ran, as you know, we had something like 20 debates. And my two key debate coaches were my granddaughter Maggie and my grandson Robert. Maggie told me to smile, so every time I got up, the first thing I do is write a smiley face in Maggie. And Robert, who was at that time, I think, 11, said shorter and clearer. So I'd write that down and to put Robert's name. And I remember one of the debates, Callista and I ended up in the hotel room watching Bridesmaids as a part of our debate prep. And then I tried to always have at least one Diet Coke, so I had that extra energy. That was it.
That's pretty good.
I love it.
Bridesmaids and Diet Coke. That's the key.
The family.
Here's the number one rule for Trump is simple. It's the same rule as Reagan. Do not over-prepare. Don't let your staff fill your head with a bunch of junk you're not going to remember. Be who you are. Stick to big, broad principles that differentiate you from Hillary, and you'll be fine.
All right, that's good advice.
From one of the great debaters, Newt Gingrich. Thanks a lot, Mr.
Thanks
Speaker.
for being
Thanks,
here.
Mr.
Good to see you,
Speaker.
sir.